on the wind like a tease. Out past the ridge where the coyotes wail, Smokewood lies under a dusty veil. The sun dips low, the saloon doors creak, where the whiskey's strong and the laws are weak. Moonshine flows from a copper still, herbs grow wild on the farthest hill. The air smells sweet with a hint of sin. Smokewood calls, come on, step in. Smokewood, Smokewood, what you make of it? Ride the wind or dig your pit. Not for the soft, not for the frail. In Smokewood town, your soul's for sale. Outlaw sit, cards in hand, dusty boots mark the desert sand. Wranglers laugh by the old corral. The night grows heavy with a wicked spell. Gun smoke lingers, the stories fly. A place where legends live and die. No preachers here, no saints to find. Just a town where rules unwind. Oh, the stars don't judge and the moon don't care if you lose your way, if you find despair.
Yo, test. I am here, guys. I am here. Let's go into normal view. This is Disdain from the Smokewood Project. And I am going to be working on some of the core components for the game. So let's see, the last couple days. Let's turn down our volume a little bit. So the last couple days I worked on game state management and on the items data, essentially. Sorry about that. But yeah, so I've been working on the items data, items settings. I was trying to debate whether we were going to use like a huge generic item setting class, or whether I was going to develop derived abstract class inheritance model for the items. And I've kind of gone back and forth about this. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I want to, do a proper object-oriented hierarchy with this class, because we have a lot of crossover between items that could be used in 2 or 3 ways. And I feel like if I try to give things hard-based classes, then it's going to set them into a certain rule set. So if we do use a base class, it's still going to have to be pretty generalized. I've just been kind of debating. Initially, I designed it very loosely, where we have a tag collection that's string based, and that way you could define something like a hand tool could just have the tag of hand tool, you know, or hand, inventory, title, or tile, weapon, food, wearable, combustible, ammo, right? I could put those all into this tag collection. And this tag collection was a class that I made last week when we were on stream. Let's look at that real quick. No, double click that. There you go. So a tag collection is an observable collection of string, essentially. It's not very complicated. But we also built a value collection and a value item. Right, the value item being a simple name value of T, where T is generic, so we can create different types of value items. And then we had a value collection, right? An observable collection of value item T. And then we made ways to get the value by string name, get the item by string name, add, index, remove, insert, and contains, which are all the basic functions you would need for the, you know, iList interface, essentially. But we wanted to be able to do them with just the name value and not having to pass in a value item of T. So this collection gives us the best of both worlds. It operates almost like a dictionary, but it is a serializable generic collection of an I-convertible, which is a pretty much a primitive type. Integers, strings, you know, things like that, or I-convertibles. Now you can make any class I-convertible by implementing the I-convertible interface right here. So, you know, if we wanted to go to the definition of this, you can see the I-convertible interface would require you to convert, you know, your value, or attempt to convert it, you know, to an array of different things. Most importantly, you're going to have to be able to convert yours to and from a string. I'm going to seriously, like, I keep getting spam calls. I'm going to throw my phone away. It's just constant potential spam calls now. Alright. When there's something important, call me. Otherwise, just get on the live stream. We'll chat it out. You know what I mean? So, the value collection looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. We have added this value collection and our tag collection into the item settings. And you can see them down here. Here's our tags and our values, which is why we needed those two collections. This gives us a generic way to provide pretty much all of this functionality, right? So now I can have a tag that is hand, a tag that is inventory, a tag that is tile, right? If I want in this tags collection. And this tags collection will now also, since it's string based, will allow the extension by modders when they create a mod and they want to add an item and an item type and logic to an item. Having this string collection is this string managed kind of label collection is much easier than having like these hard strong type Boolean values of is hand tool, is inventory, is tile, right? I mean, this is almost archaic when you think about how simple this design is. This is a collection of strings, essentially, which we can eventually add custom logic to, which is why I actually made a collection for that, because I figured the tag collection is going to be an important point of interface for modders and people that are writing add-ons for the software or for the game eventually. So the important part to that is that, you know, we want it to be an extensible firm class that we can manage or do extend. And same with the value collection. This gives us a lot of flexibility with, you know, since it's an observable collection, allows us to catch any event, but also just it being our own custom collection, that is that we have control over all the base class stuff. It makes it much easier to make it do we want if we have to. So go ahead and ask any questions. I will try to answer. We're listening to a little bit of the AI generated fake music for our game. We're trying to secure some real artists. This is not the music I want to go into the game with, but we're trying to secure some artists to do some, kind of pro bono music to get into the game, and we're trying to pay them through appearance to the game or some kind of promotion in the game. Since we don't have a huge budget here, my son and I are doing most of the difficult work ourselves, and we have a limited financial budget right now until the game launches, or we get the Kickstarter funding to actually dump into here. So our asset purchases have been limited, and there's just some things that we're not going to be able to afford right off the bat. So let's see here. Alright, so for the item settings, since we've been able to eliminate all this disgusting bullshit, let's talk a little bit about what these are. This is obviously the name of the item, the description of the item, real basic stuff, but this is an item declaration, essentially. The max stack size for that item, the sprite name that represents the item, like for example in inventory, the prefab that represents the three-dimensional object for the item, and the asset address, which this is actually using the addressables API for Unity, and this is going to allow us to have packages of assets that, especially for modders or for people that are going to eventually extend our game, it will allow them to have packages of assets that go along with their mod, and that could include new items, new prefabs, new whatever, songs, whatever. We could definitely, I'm not sure of all the different types we're going to allow through the modding system to start with, but there will be a pretty wide availability of modification that's available, because we're designing all of these base classes with extensibility in mind. So I was just looking at a couple of, I got a couple other classes here that, it's funny, when you've been working on a project long enough, you almost forget some of the things you've developed. So in the item settings, we've got these basic things. I've been trying to rattle my brain for things outside of usability flags like these that I would need, and since we're not going to need these with our new tags and moves and value system, it's going to make things a lot easier. It's going to make them easier also to declare inside of the XML files. This item settings class actually represents an XML file that will be a settings file that allows not only us, but since it's XML, allows anyone to modify the behavior of the game and even add items and things like that to it if it's registered properly. We're still figuring out how all that's going to work, but ideally we're building it in a way where we'll be able to take in assets from the outside and spawn them into the game and use them in the game. And so things like weapons and things like that should all be fair play for people to create and modify and move forward. Not only modify ours, but create their own and add them to the game. I'm pretty excited about the extensibility side of this, and I'm excited that everyone's agreed that we should do a very extensible platform. I feel like a lot of game studios and game companies try not to include that in their games, or try to negate modification. And a good example of that is companies like Mojang and Minecraft, who are just adamantly against mods, and took a lot of steps and wasted a lot of money to hinder modification. But truthfully, modification is what made Minecraft a personalizable and unique experience for everyone. So people, it's what made the game, in my opinion. It's so hard to look at it through that kind of looking glass, but the truth is a lot of developers are missing out on an opportunity because the community of people that will mod your game are sometimes bigger than your regular community of players, depending on the game. Look, I mean, how many people play vanilla Minecraft versus how many people play on like a server that's modified, you know, using CurseForge or, you know, Spigot or whatever. I'm just saying, I find it interesting that there's actually business decisions that try to hinder one of the best aspects of the game, one of the best things that you could have done. Wonder how those meetings went, you know? Wonder how they went. So I tried, my webcam by itself is not working. I was trying to get the live webcam working. Let's see if I can do it now. Let's see. Yeah, see, the live webcam is not coming through, but it's coming through on Discord. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. You know, technical difficulties or whatever. Technical whatchamacallits. That's what we got. We're having technical whatchamacallits. Oh, there it goes. See, I'm off air again there. Yep. It will not let me hit my vape apparently on live stream, so I've got to be, you know, secret. But that's what I'm doing in case you guys are wondering what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. And you guys over at YouTube, feel free to chime in anytime. I've got my top chat over here on the left for YouTube, if you see right here. So, you know, if your Twitch chat's over here and YouTube's over here, so I can see everybody's comments. Go ahead. Hit me up. Tell me how bad my code is. So let's look at our player data. Our player data has been broken down into a lot of different pieces. Preferences, attributes, skills, statuses, and morality. And it's been interesting development. When we started designing this game, I was super adamant about not using, like, you know, a traditional honor system like Red Dead did, where you're either honorable or dishonorable. I kind of wanted to shy away from that entire model of honor, and just kind of include the concept of honor into our morality system, but not directly have like just a flat honor. So what we ended up doing with the player morality, let me go over here. We ended up breaking up our morality system into 6 definitive pieces. Essentially, modernization is how primitive or modernized you are, how willing you are to use technology. And these are all scales, like weighted scales that go up or down based upon the things you do in the game. Citizenship reflects how willing you are to work in a group or whether you want to work alone, so citizen or nomadic. Criminality is whether you're lawful or a criminal. You follow the laws or you break them. Disposition is actually closer to the honor traditionally in Red Dead Redemption, which would be whether you lean toward a peaceful resolution or a violent resolution, an aggressive resolution would be your disposition. Trustworthiness is exactly how it sounds. You do what you say. If you agree to do something for somebody, you follow through with that agreement. That's your trustworthiness. And then your neuroticity is how neurotic you are, which, you know, is pretty self-explanatory, but, you know, are you neurotic or are you balanced? And that can kind of play a lot into the outcome of the game. So these 6 items are actually what give us our formula for the ending of the game. When we say we have more than 64 endings for this game that are planned, This is the mathematical formulation that is behind those 64 endings. You can be a primitive loner that's, a criminal and a murderer that's totally trustworthy and not neurotic, right? And that kind of depth gives us a lot of options when it comes to how we represent the end of the game, because these 6 items truly represent how you play, and which ways you lean on these 6 items really defines your personality. It's almost like a hidden personality exam that's in constant play with every action you do. So every time you're, presented a situation to overcome, how you overcome it will place or remove weights to these scales. And essentially these scales will at the end define the ending that you get for the game. Are you a modernized, capitalist type of social person that's totally legal, and honest and trustworthy? Or are you a nomadic outlaw that, that murders everybody he comes across and is totally unpredictable? This covers a wide range of those personalities and allows us to really stick some labels on things. So that is our expanded player morality system. That is what we are replacing the honor system of Red Dead Redemption with. That is the, our version of the honor system. Now, this is one thing that really was, that makes the game for us, because this also allows us a wide variety of variability for opportunities of different players based on these weighted scales. So if we have a really modernized person, they will be offered different opportunities than an extremely primitive person. Same with the citizenship. They're not worse or better opportunities. They're simply just different opportunities. And so the gameplay can seem very unique through every play of it if you don't play exactly the same way every time. You can go through the game in different ways and have completely new experiences and a completely different ending. It'll be a completely different game in all aspects. And we've given our characters, our first 4 starting characters, a very wide background range, so it really makes you want to play them. And they do have predispositions as well, but it makes you want to play them in a different, more traditional way to how the character feels. We are trying to establish a understanding of the characters before you understand the characters by presenting them a certain way. And so the first 4 starter characters are presented with very strong personalities that lean you into a certain way of playing, no matter if you want to play that way or not. Now, that's not a good or a bad thing. It just simply is people embrace the fantasy of who they're playing. And so we kind of wanted to make sure that each of the 4 angles that we offered for the start of the game were very distinct and had a predisposition that was understood, that wouldn't be hard to grasp onto quickly. So, let's see here. Whoa. Whoa. Alright, so we've got item settings. I'm thinking that I should probably generate the item settings XML file. And I mean, we're not going to do anything crazy, but I should probably try to get a basic item into the game somehow. And just come up with some rules for the tags that I am going to use. We've got a lot of things that, a lot of different aspects of the game where these items can come into play, and we want a generalized kind of item list, so I'm trying to think of the best way to organize that, both from a UI fashion and from a code fashion. Now, I think this tag system that I came up with, instead of having this food, weapon, tile, inventory, this is a much more generic, easier way to handle these basic kind of, yes, it's this kind of thing, You know, is it wearable? Is it food? Is it a weapon? You know, we could put all that into a tags collection. Now, the idea for the tags collection actually came from a very simple thing from Gmail. It has things called labels in there, which are just kind of like, you know, a word you can associate with things. And I thought, you know, this is a brilliant kind of system to replace that typical, you know, problem of having all these Boolean values on your item and still making it generalized. So, let's see here. Just double checking on all of our settings, our volumes, or things like that. I swear the potential spams are just ridiculous. I've actually shoved my phone underneath my dog bed over here. Sorry, story. But now you've got to hear it the whole time. Oh my goodness, my camera is still off on Discord. Goodness gracious. Are you kidding me? No, it's not working. I can't believe this. I'm having all kinds of problem with this webcam. Huh. I don't know. I'm having some kind of Discord issue with this thing. It's still not getting me. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Having a real problem with it though. Just does not seem to want to play nice. I don't know. No camera. We've lost our webcam. I don't know what's going on. We're gonna try to reconnect it. Yeah, I'm sorry guys. I don't know what's going on with the camera. It's just not operating. I always have problems like this with the freaking webcams. Now we do have our chat, but crazy. No rules. I do not know what is up with this. I am going to try to get off OBS and get back on, so I will be right back, guys. Let me stop the stream, and I will return in 1 minute.